Hi, and welcome to our next episode of the Jungle Podcast. Today I am joined by Nieve, the lovely Nieve. Can you just share with us your role at Jungle IT and what you do really on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, hi everyone. So I'm Nieve, I'm the DLM Supervisor here at Jungle. So I manage and overlook all the services on our device lifecycle service as well as our out-of-box experience service. So that's end-to-end, that's the build room, warehouse and our admin team.
And we've worked together a long time, haven't we? So I'm
Yes.
so excited for us to be doing this together today. I've got some questions for
Mm,
you. So in your role, so you're DLM Supervisor,
mhm.
in terms of when you're working with clients, what teams are you usually working with from a client perspective in the business, from a DLM team who you're collaborating with and speaking with?
Yeah, it does range. So obviously we've got some IT specialists, some IT teams that we work with very closely. But there's also some HR people that we work with for new starters, leavers. And then there's also just one lead person within the business who manages their whole device lifecycle, their asset management, and we communicate with them directly.
What is device lifecycle management?
Device lifecycle management is the end-to-end management of the cycle of a device.
When we say a device, sorry to interrupt, you mean like a laptop
Yes,
or a
yeah.
PC?
Yeah, so it can be laptop, PC, mobiles. It's honestly dependent on what the estate has per client. So say for a laptop example, we do a refresh, for example. So I'd get a new laptop, I'd manage that. If there's any break fixes, so I'd work with the respective manufacturers or vendors to get that fixed if you break your screen, which happens. And then obviously when it comes to its end of its life cycle, if that's 3 years, 5 years, we'd then look to dispose of that with the client. Obviously you get a data destruction certificate, so it's being disposed of.
Really, for me, I'm asking these questions, but I do know what
Yes,
DLM is because I helped create the
you
service
did.
back, and this really, it was born
Hmm.
out of, it was post COVID, and like my experience is more in the enterprise space, and we see a recurring theme really. What happens in enterprise
Mm.
then comes down into SMB, SME businesses, and post COVID, we went from everybody was always working in the
Yeah.
office, and actually, I can remember from a Jungle perspective, we were talking around hybrid working, enabling Microsoft 365
Hmm.
and Teams, and it was like we weren't getting the traction that
Yeah.
we thought we would. And then COVID happened and everything changed overnight.
Yes.
So then everybody went into this hybrid working model, which was fine. I mean, the manufacturers, I think they were having a lovely time making hay while the sun shone, and everybody was grabbling to buy
Yeah.
laptops because everybody obviously had to work from home overnight. But that caused a real disparate estate. So you have mixed vendors, mixed quality. Not all of them were enterprise devices. We saw, problems with, BitLocker,
Yeah.
for example. Security standards weren't up to where you would expect, knowing what we know now. And that caused quite a lot of chaos. And it was fine while everybody worked from home. But of course, that is a new normal now.
Mhm.
We're seeing people start to work, from the office more for collaboration, but most companies do have a hybrid working policy and a lot of people still work from home. They're
Yeah, definitely.
experiencing the benefits of that. And, we're very mindful of people's mental health and how,
Mhm.
hybrid working can really support that. And it's incredibly important to forward thinking companies, I would say.
Yeah.
And so hybrid working is here to stay. I know there's an initiative to come back to the office. We are not ignoring that, but we will find that most
Yes.
companies will continue to work hybridly. And then how do you support users?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, some clients as well, they've stayed fully remote, and that's,
Mm.
it's really stayed for some people. It worked for their estate. Supporting the users as well, I think it's that added communication. It's making sure they know we're here to help. And if there is some sort of issue, if there is something that's gone wrong, we'll sort it. We're only an email a call away. And the team, they're very responsive, so we'll get a call or an email. It's like about a delivery, or I've broken my laptop, I've spilt a cup of tea, I'm at home. Um, and it's the next day, we'll just get that out, we'll get it sorted for them. And it's the communication, not just to the user, but also to the client who's managing that on the other side. So we'll speak to the IT team. They don't, the user can come to us and say, this has happened. say it's all right, we'll get a new laptop to you. And then, the next day they'll be set up and working, and we'll start fixing their old one.
And that's really impactful, actually, isn't it? Because when you are hybrid working, it can be, my husband actually is a fully remote worker for his company that he works for. And it can be, it can be quite lonely, really. You don't have that, same traction, engagement that you might have. And, who do you turn to? It's not like you're just tapping somebody on the shoulder to say, what do I do about this? So having those clear parameters, how you can, processes for having a laptop fixed, for example, are really important. But actually, that's what businesses weren't geared up for. Office spaces slim down, and people don't have the facilities, a build room, a warehouse for storage. So it's how do we maintain that level of service in a new remote working environment? And that's where DLM was born from. Yeah. And then I think being able to create those standards as well in terms of devices, because actually, Microsoft has boomed, hasn't it? Modern work.
Definitely.
And that really creates personas, what are the right applications that people should be using. And actually, Intune's a really big part of device lifecycle, isn't it? Management in terms of the out-of-box experience and enabling people to have that great first day every day. Can you just touch on that out-of-box experience bit? How has that shifted from, I suppose, how things were pre-COVID times?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
do you remember that long, Nieve?
Oh, I know, honestly. I'm so young. Out-of-box experience, it's definitely, flown. The user gets that device on the first day, they open it, it's ready to be logged in, everything's there, Intune supports that as well. It's a great platform for companies to be on. So, when we do have some calls with some clients, some fact finding, and they say, oh, we're just manually installing these apps, and I'm like, whoa, let me introduce you to this, because this is something that's going to blow your mind. So, we've got experts in the build room. We've got senior to junior engineers, and they really do work with the client as well with their Intune. Things can change, things can happen. Versions of apps can change as well, and they're on it. Then they know when something's wrong. So it's not just like, oh, we'll ship this laptop and the user's going to have a bad experience. They'll fix that before it goes.
Yeah, it's not like a one moment in time, particularly with Intune. You've got to make sure that you're keeping up to it, keeping it updated.
Yes, yeah.
So that user experience doesn't get impacted.
Yeah, it's organic. So and the user experience is the same. We try and keep it in a flow state, but when it comes to Intune, it is organic. Everything changes. There's never not going to be a change to something.
Security updates, all sorts. And
we'll
updates.
Do that. So we, if you need something, an application added to Intune, if you've recently moved from, Sage to Xerox, we'll make that change for you, and we'll support you and make sure your users have that.
So thinking about Intune and provisioning devices, that all links into the out-of-box experience. Niamh, how do you think that expectations of somebody starting a new company, how do you think it differs now from maybe just a few years ago? We have seen a shift, haven't we?
Yeah, I think there's been a dramatic shift. I think obviously that hybrid role has really shifted companies. I think a new starter would expect, obviously their equipment is delivered, they'd have a full set of hardware that they can use that would support their working day. They'd have all their access there and ready to go. They'd have all their inductions ready and set up. And they'd know exactly what their expectations are from HR, especially from a people engagement perspective. I think that's a really big thing since obviously the hybrid introduction from COVID.
Do you think that HR are driving those like new standards? Because standards are high, aren't they? Those expectations are high.
Yeah, and I think the new starters, they get that first day great feeling, and I think HR, they get great recommendations off of that. They get a great feedback saying, oh, well, I've had a great first day, and it means that, when HR come to check in with that user, if it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, they've got that feeling carries on for them.
I think we're definitely noticing a shift towards that employee engagement, employee experience. You see, like the Gallup 12, for example, making sure that, people have the tools to do their job. We've referred to that before. We do it ourselves internally as well, don't we? But really making sure that you're recruiting best talent. And I think COVID did take that away, that location barrier, which has really helped people recruit best talent, but they need to retain best talent as well, because there is, there's a cost of employment. So you want to be able to recruit and make sure that you retain those staff. And actually technology really plays a really big part of that. It's been, shown in studies. So I think you're really right on the HR perspective, making sure that engagement is there from a tech perspective is really, really important.
Yeah, I think when it comes to not even just new starters, when it comes to leavers as well, obviously, that can be a bit of a pain point for HR. Obviously, I mean, you can have difficult leavers, and they might, especially if you're in the office, they're having to come into the office and hand over their equipment. But I think the beauty of the hybrid working is there's no face-to-face engagement, and I think that's also a benefit to HR. We can just collect their equipment, and then that's the end of that. I think it alleviates that tension and pressure, and it's the part ways.
Are we seeing a challenge, for businesses collecting tech from leavers, especially bad leavers?
It can be an issue, and especially because remote working has crept in, and I think it's a worry of, I think generally, are you going to get your equipment back? Am I going to see my laptop in a good condition? Not that anyone would intentionally do anything to it, but I think if you've got any disgruntled leavers, HR, there could be a bit of a worry and a bit of a pressure. You hand their equipment off on the first day, you do your checklist. Has all that come back? Yes or no? It's an unknown.
Yeah, and if that process isn't in place to get the laptop back, well, it's a security concern, isn't it? And also, there's a value in that laptop that could get reused as well. How do we overcome this?
It's a crutch in the service, and I think it allows HR to lean on us to alleviate that worry and pressure, because we have got that service available to do these collections.
It's just a process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fixed process, and we organise a collection. We'll send a returns crate, we'll send them packaging, and then we'll organise a collection and confirm once it's back. We'll confirm the condition of the equipment as well, so you're not worried about the state of your equipment, or has something not been returned, how I'd like it to be returned, and then you can go off and deal with that process then on your side.
That's a really good point, Nieve. And actually, just thinking about the condition of laptops, we're seeing more and more businesses really focusing on their environmental impact, thinking about the growth of B Corps, sustainability. Companies and businesses recognise the importance of making sure that they're really reviewing what they're doing around this. How does it link into it? Are they one in the same? Does it help? Are we seeing a shift because of it?
Yeah,
What's your opinion?
Yeah, I definitely think that industry standards are rising, and rapidly. I think in the last 12 months, generally we've seen a huge shift towards sustainability. Like you said, B Corp, and people are doing their CSR strategies. I think it's a huge thing, and the DLM and environmental impact do go hand in hand.
In terms of device lifecycle, what are you seeing from that side of things? What's the shift?
Across industries, I think it is now a huge standard to try and keep your laptops for as long as you can. They are a huge cost to the business. Obviously, we're seeing shortages across, globally, and
It's volatile at the moment, isn't
they
it?
are getting expensive, and I think that is obviously the state of what it is right now. It's uncertain. I think you would want to keep that in your estate for as long as possible. Whether it goes up to 3 years, you can see 7 years. It's entirely up to what works for that client and what industry they're in, and how hard wearing they are with the laptops.
That's such a great point, because actually not all industries are the same, are they? And how much usage they're getting. So that is a great point.
That is where the service comes in, because it's not just tailored to one type of sector. It works for everyone. I think you'll see what niche works for you, and even if you thought, oh, well, maybe 3 years worked, well, maybe 5 years works, maybe we'll grade these laptops, you'll see, oh, they all come back as a grade B, which, a little scuff here and there. But that can always be reused. You don't need to dispose of it after 3 years, 5 years, and extending the longevity of that laptop between users is always a benefit to the business. And that is a huge part of the DLM, of that decision making, and you trust what we're saying, and we can definitely give you that extra time with that laptop.
And I guess it's all those mechanisms that are in place in the midterm that enable that to happen.
Yes, definitely.
You work closely with physical hardware every day. Where do you see the biggest source of waste or inefficiency?
Yeah, I mean, working with physical hardware every day, especially, the build room is in-house, so, you go down and have a little look and see what's going on. And it definitely is the packaging. The packaging is wasted. There are certain components in the box that you don't need. But again, we are seeing that shift from vendors, manufacturers, from clients to where we are reducing that waste.
Are you seeing reduced waste from the vendor or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are seeing a huge change across vendors, across manufacturers. Obviously, no one wants to waste packaging, but we recycle it. I mean, a huge thing for one of our clients is that we take all of their packaging out, we'll put everything together in one box singularly, and then that'll go, and then that's that box, that's its life. But I mean, if you're packaging everything back up into small boxes, that's a lot of waste when you think of it and you think about where that goes. But for us, obviously, all our packaging, it's fully recyclable, so it's a no-brainer.
Just on sustainability, you've been working personally really hard on our sustainable impact and improvements to help businesses achieve their goals. Can you just share with us?
Yes, I can. I think for me personally, it's that collaborative impact. I think making sure that you're communicating with the user of when it's delivered means that there's no missed deliveries, and the vans that are having to go out again and lug all that CO2 around. I think it's a huge thing, and we have seen that impact. I think we have roughly a 98% first time delivery success rate, which is massive. And it's a huge achievement for me and my team. It really is. Like, it's something that you think, wow, we've done that.
You're making an impact.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I'm actually really good at this.
Yeah.
And I think as well, obviously, couriers around, they're all pledging to, electric and e-vans. And we've pledged and asked, and they have delivered, and we're now just over 40% of all our parcels are delivered on e-vans, and we're saving just under 1,500 kg of CO2, which is it's satisfaction. It's satisfaction at the end of the day. You feel like, wow, you hear about these services, you hear about the industry changing, and then you think, we're a cog in that, and we feel like we are really making an impact.
You're not like resting on your laurels, we're seeking those
Yeah.
improvements, aren't we? For anyone feeling overwhelmed by device management, where do you think is the most helpful place to start? Something simple that makes a really big difference. Is there one?
I think asset management.
What do you mean by asset management?
I think it's just knowing where everything is, where it is. If this laptop's with you, or this phone's with you, or this monitor, where it is. And I think the beauty of that is asset tags. I think I'm seeing a lot of asset tags being used, and I think they are great. I think, linking back to what we said about Intune, you can always add that asset tag in there as a device name, and it's then managed end to end. You know exactly what that is. But I think it's easy to lose hardware. I think it's easy to feel the pressure of, well, I'll just give you this headset, and then you forget about it, and then you're looking back thinking, where's that gone? And you're then having to go trace back. And I think it's a great tool to use when it comes to the DLM. I think we manage it for you. There's no worry about where that monitor's gone or who has this laptop, or it's very easy. You see it across the industry where someone might have 3 or 4 laptops because you've not realised you've given them laptop after laptop and not got them to return the other one.
And how people are accounting for those costs, of course, they're just lost.
It's money lost. It's resource and hardware that can be reused. And I think that is a huge pain point that businesses might not even be aware of. That is the thing, really. And it's a thing that we've really helped to alleviate for some businesses.
How do we do that?
Yeah, I think there's so many ways that you can manage an asset. Obviously, we've got so many asset reporting tools, but I think the main one we use is Intune for our clients. It's unassigning those devices. I think that is something that is lost and forgotten about. When it comes back, you think, oh, it's landed back in our warehouse. Here's, this has gone back to stock now. And obviously you'll get a stock report, which is great, but cleaning up your Intune is important. It's making sure that you know where everything is at that time.
Can you walk us through a really smooth device rollout?
A smooth rollout would entail we get a request for our portal, and we're straight on the phone to the user, where while we're communicating with the user, we've asked our build room to start building this device. And while we're checking what delivery where they want this to be delivered to, what delivery date they'd like. They're building that device and communicating with the warehouse to say this is going to be ready to be shipped in X amount of time. The warehouse will then collect that from the build room. They'll then package it, ship it, confirm it's ready to ship. And then they'll send some tracking details over to the user through the ticket. And then the device is delivered the next day.
Is that how long it takes next day?
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So we just touched on the request, what happens in that process, but actually beforehand, in terms of onboarding, there's a lot of work that goes on to determine who gets what. What does that look like?
Again, obviously you don't want anyone cherry picking, so we have personas. I think the portal is a great tool that can be used. It allows you to tailor the experience, and it means there's no stress for the requester. So, for example, let me say I have a store manager and then a salesperson, and they'll have different equipment, but we'll know what equipment to pick. So that's already set up on the onboarding. We'll say, well, this person can have this set up, this person can have this set up. And it's to do with their skill set, their experience, and what really works for them, what they know works for them, that they've already discovered through this this transition from, regular working to hybrid working to now maybe going back into the office. They've figured out what works for them.
Right, I've got some questions, some jungle quick picks for you. What tech tool should more people be using?
Intune.
Why?
Just everything's there. You're not having to use different platforms, different applications. If you want to see your estate, it's there, it's visible. If you want to check the compliance of something, it's there.
Best place to get advice?
I like to get advice from the people around me.
Great answer. I like to get answers from Copilot. Favourite book or podcast that's changed how you think?
I think, there's a podcast called In Our Time podcast, and I really like that podcast. I think it gives me a different perspective on anything, on any topic, anything you want to really look at and learn about. And I'm not much of a bookworm, so I think, when I'm on a walk or just need some time to clear my mind, just listen to a podcast gives you a little bit of freedom.
What's it called?
In Our Time.
Who's it by?
Melvin Bragg.
What emerging trend are you the most excited about?
Yeah, I think AI is a good one. I think I recently just obviously finished my degree, and I was
What was
coming
your
up
degree in?
politics, and I think when I was doing my studies, it was huge. It was literally the snowball was snowballing when I was doing my degree. It was a huge thing, and I couldn't believe it. And to see how far it's come, it's amazing. It's scary but amazing. And I think if you've got the right hand holding and you know where to go and you know how to use it properly, then you can get the best experience out of it. I think it is a great trend, actually.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Nieve, and thank you for joining us on The Green Room.